Good morning, everyone. My name is MightyStream, and I'm going to do your May the 11th spiritual principle a day in a meditation. If you need to reach me, feel free to do so at recoveryofhope21@gmail.com. The title of today's meditation is Honest Self-Appraisal in the Steps. The steps help us to increase our ability to be honest with ourselves and others. That comes from the Living Clean book, chapter 1, Growing Pains. To say that honesty wasn't a top priority when we were using may be an understatement. We gain a new awareness of honesty's value once we clean up. With a clear head and a restored conscience, we find that dishonesty comes at a price. Regret is no joke. So we try to avoid it. Practicing honesty with ourselves can be a little more complicated. Self-deception creates some major blind spots that have a nasty habit of reemerging. Fortunately, our ability to be honest with ourselves deepens as we work the 12 steps. We admit our powerlessness and begin to reckon with our unmanageability. We come to recognize that we're frankly screwed on our own and decide to accept some help. Taking action that's aligned with that decision begins with an honest evaluation of how we've lived our lives so far. Sometimes we get as many insights in sharing our inventories as we do in writing them. We go on to dig a bit deeper, examining how aspects of our character have become disproportionate to their intended purpose. We turn this bag of dirty tricks over to a higher power. And over and over and over again, we strive to be better people with help from that power, whatever we conceive that to be. Taking another look at the harm we've caused, we make an earnest effort to right our past wrong. Continuing on this path takes daily commitment, and honestly, we all slack off from time to time. Our experience with the steps means we're quicker to notice when old patterns of thinking and behavior creep back up on us. Oh, I'm doing that again? We may find that we've shut down emotionally, become disconnected with our spiritual lives, resumed a hurtful interior monologue, or taken up some other outmoded approach to life. We put in the work to restore wholehearted honesty to our lives and in our relationships, including those with ourselves and with the higher power. We tune in to reality, to the truth, to our higher self, and we help others to do the same, to live and to thrive through the daily application of spiritual principles. I will engage in some honest self-assessment today. I will shore up my foundation and restore my zest for learning how to live. Let's take a moment of silence, followed by the wee version of serenity prayer. Moment of silence now, please. Thank you. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things that we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Just for today, please and thank you. Honest self-appraisal and the steps. You know, when we're taking an honest look at ourselves, it's not I don't want to say ever easy, because I mean, a lot of times you become used to the honest self appraisal, and it's not an issue for you when you reveal something about yourself that needs to be adjusted. But that comes with time, and it comes with humility. Being able to accept and embrace this new awareness of honesty's value, and being able to stack ourselves up against this bar, this new bar of honesty, and not only stack ourselves up doing our inventory, in other words, right? But then making the needed adjustment. It's not always easy. It's necessary. It's not mandatory. Let me say that. It's not always easy. It's necessary for the improved version of yourself to emerge, and for this spiritual awakening to have an opportunity not only to take root, but to flourish. It's necessary. It's not mandatory. We still have a choice, but it's definitely not easy initially. And that's where we need to make sure we're connected to our higher power. Being connected to our higher power allows us to fortify ourselves, to strengthen ourselves. And when I say for us to do it, it means that, yes, you have to initiate this conscious contact with your higher power to get it, right? I mean, we can self-will and push through most anything. We've done it for years. Yeah, but the end results are usually pretty jacked up. And so to be able to look at these things about ourselves and acknowledge that we're not just obsessive and compulsive about the use of mind and mood altering drugs, but we are also obsessive and compulsive sometimes about day-to-day things such as cleaning and relationships. And we have these little quirks about us that begin to reveal themselves, these patterns. I'll never forget the time I was working with this huge bank in our city, and I was young. Now, you got to remember, when I graduated, I was 17. Okay. So I did my last summer with IRS, and by September, following my June graduation, 1985, I was employed with the largest bank in our city. And I remember being 17 years old, knowing that I was going to turn 18 by the end of the year was the reason why I got that job. Favor. People talking up my name. And it wasn't like I was so excellent. I was using that, right? So I was functional though. And I can remember the position that I held was in the trust department, like a receptionist type secretary. I had all these task requests coming to my desk, and I would have to look at this half sheet of paper. If it was blue, it belonged to so and so. If it was pink, it belonged to so and so. And they needed this typed, and I was responsible for trading the money that we would receive into all of these trust accounts into the money market once a month, millions and millions of dollars. And I can remember the first time that I had a review. The vice president pulled me into her office, beautiful lady, Today, I'll say she was a beautiful lady. Then I didn't like her too much, but she was way too calm for me. So she pulled me into her office and she said, I want you to know, first of all, that I like your working here for us. You have a very positive energy, and we all enjoy seeing you every morning. And then I knew the other shoe was about to drop, and she said, there's really only two things I need for you to work on to continue employment here, and I want you to know it is just that serious. Your attendance needs to improve. You're late nearly every morning and often sick at least 1 or 2 days a month. I expect for you to be here, if not early on Mondays, every Monday. You have the same pattern as some other people do that I refer to employee assistant programs. And I don't want to assume the worst. However, on Mondays, you need to be here on time, if not early. And you need to only call in sick if you are truly sick and you are expected to provide a medical excuse. No more absences unless you're really, really sick. Am I clear? I said, yes, ma'am. And she said, so that's one thing. Now, this other thing, I also understand why you're struggling in this area. And I want to let you know that I am here for you. We are all here for you. We really like you. What I've noticed about you is that when you don't know what to do, you don't ask questions. You miss deadlines, and when asked about the project, you bring the question as the reason. You're not knowing what to do as the reason why you didn't complete it. You were thinking about what to do. You need to stop thinking about what to do because these deadlines are serious for us. And a lot of times our keeping our accounts are dependent on us being able to provide certain information that we expect for you to get done for us. Okay. So if you have a question, you need to find the person that has given you the project and ask them before the project is due. Open your mouth. A closed mouth does not get fed. You have to ask questions. The only stupid question, hear me clearly, is the one that you don't ask. Those are the two things you must improve on without exception. And she asked me, have I made myself clear? And I said, yes, ma'am. She said, you still have a job, but if we have to have this discussion again, you will not. And she excused me. I signed the paperwork and she excused me from her office. She gave me a copy later and she said, I suggest that you go over this. And I am going to give you the benefit of the doubt and that you understand what I've said, even though I have not reflected it on this review. You make sure you do the two things I told you to do. And I looked at the review. She didn't have any of those two things on there. She had given me high marks on everything. So the point that I'm making is that sometimes we will learn things things about ourselves, our maladaptive, our inability to adapt in a positive manner to a situation, we will find out those things about ourselves. And we are the ones responsible for taking our own inventory. Let me repeat that. Your sponsor's job is not to do your inventory. Your sponsor's job is to cover your fourth step as a fifth step with you, right? That's your sponsor's job. Your job is to take your own inventory. And the way that you take your own inventory is that you sit down and you figure out where you're at through self-assessment on certain issues in an honest fashion. It's like any inventory that a grocery store might make. They come in when there's less activity and they take stock of what's there on the shelves, what needs to be reordered, and possibly what things are outdated and need to be shifted to the on sale bracket. And they no longer need to carry that particular product because no one wants it. It is a liability. They purchased it at a certain price and they couldn't even sell it. It stayed on the shelf because it had no value to the majority of people. So why keep ordering it? Why keep using their resources to replenish something, or not even replenish, to buy something that they cannot move off the shelf? However, that Wonder Bread, that soft giant bread, that particular sort of water bottle, right? That particular type of milk, that particular cut of meat, that particular produce that keeps running out. Oh, yes. Not only are they going to order more of it, they're going to increase how much of it they actually get because that is their cash cow. That's where they can make money. And your inventory is nothing different than that. Being able to have an honest self-assessment of what character defects, what things am I doing that are not serving me well, that are causing people not to want to engage with me because I'm insisting on maintaining this liability. And then what are the assets? What are the things that are flying off of my spiritual shelf that people enjoy engaging me because of this particular trait? And how can I develop it even more fully? That's all your inventory is. It's nothing to fear. It brings you into prosperity. It brings you into the positive side of yourself rather than being in a deficit. And I'm just committed to coming out of that deficit and moving more into being able to produce and have a positive sense of well-being. You know what? I didn't expect to go on and on and on about this particular meditation. I really do have other things to do, but it has been my greatest pleasure to spend this time with you. I hope that you have a beautiful day on purpose. I intend to talk to you soon.